Yo, alright, so we're back and it's the next day. I had to go to sleep. But so we're gonna just continue where we left off, hopefully. And hopefully I remember what to do. So we just got done from what I remember. We got the socket working. So let's make sure everything is still working. So one thing to note, when we run localhost on port 8080, when we run Vue.Js alone without running the server, we should get a disconnected message, or a message that says we are not connected. And that's what we see right here, disconnected, which is perfect. And then when we do get the server running, or the backend running, gotta activate my environment and then python app.py, we get the connected message. So we are connected to the server. Now we need to get click events, and also we need to get our marker groups working. So the way we're going to do this is, we don't have to do it this way, but I think it's cleaner this way. Marker group. We're going to create a marker group for the map, and then our markers, our point markers, will be put within this group. So this way you can have different groups in the future, where one group is for the click events and another group is for geolocation or something. And we do that by adding it to the map in a similar way that is being added here. We do this dot marker group equals, let me get the exact syntax real quick. Okay. This dot marker group equals L dot layer group, because each group is its layer, add to, and we're adding that to this dot my map. And that way we should have marker group set up to where when we add the marker, it gets added to the group, which is pretty useful. Now we have to get click events, so we can get the latitude and the longitude, but we also need to get, we also want to store the list of markers as we create them. So I'm gonna add a variable here, but we're not going to be affecting that until we start creating markers. So we have our marker group, and then we also want to have click markers, and that's going to be an empty object for now, and we'll populate that object. Okay, so now we do click on click map. Okay, and so Leaflet has its own event that constantly runs, and that once you activate it, you can get the, whenever there's a click on the map, you can get the click. But I don't want it to be always active. Whenever, like, for example, when we're moving like this, we have to click the map, but I don't want a marker to get added every time we move. So I'm gonna make a button on the side that when you click, an event pops up. One of the problems I was facing yesterday was that I couldn't get the button to work, and I actually haven't worked on it because I've been sleeping. So let's see how this goes. Let's try just adding hello and see if we can get it to be on top. Oh, empty function. We'll comment this out for now, and we'll add stuff once we're good and ready for it. I really don't understand why this happens specifically. It's strange to me. And so I'm just gonna look at my reference code to see why it doesn't happen there, but it happens here. And it's not clear at all. It looks like it's working fine. The only thing I can think is this is its own component, which maybe that because of that it's messing with it. But that itself is pretty strange too. Okay, that's fine then. Hmm. I guess we'll just do it the way we have, where anywhere you click, it creates an event for now. And then hopefully I'll be able to fix whatever the issue is with the button and I'll add that in. But anyways, let's get the click events going. Sorry about that. So for the click event, what we have to do is do a this dot my map. We want to get the my map and then on and the built-in catches click. So once we do this map my map dot on, anytime we click on the map, it will fire the function that we're going to have in here. We're gonna do event equals, it's a function. There we go. So now this will get us the click event. And just so I know how this is working, we're gonna print the and to see what we get. We're getting this variable. This should hold our latitude and longitude and other information about the map. And we want to add a little this thing right here. Save. There we go. So we're gonna go to inspect. We're gonna go to console, and we get nothing. We have the function defined here, but we never call the function. We want to call the function in the mounted. So this, once we do the start of the leaflet map, we want to call the on click map function. So now, right away, our click event should be working, and then when we click, we get the object printing. And our object contains the lat long object within it. And this is the latitude and the longitude of where we clicked. That's pretty cool. It has some other information, but all we need is the lat long information. So we're also going to do lat long and see if that will just print that object. Oh yeah. Dot lat long. What am I? Sorry, it's been a while since I've messed around in this project. Well, the test project. So lat lng. There we go. So we get the object right there. We get the lat and the long. So that's exactly what we need to create a new marker. But I'll show you what the problem is when you create a marker without having it being synced through Socket.io. So one client will make a marker, but it won't update on another client's screen, which is not ideal. Okay, so now once we do the click event, we have to create the marker, and we're gonna create a marker by doing. I have to get the create marker function real quick, and we also need to get the marker's looks. There's a GitHub project that has a bunch of different color, like bunch of markers, and you can get different colors doing that. Because the default Leaflet marker, I didn't find a way to change its color. But sorry, excuse me. But let's just create a marker and let's see how it looks. So we're going to do, and get the right line. First, we want to define what the marker will look like. Okay, and we do that by creating const default icon and equaling it to new l dot icon. And in that we have to pass it the different things that come with the leaflet icon to populate it. You could pass it the shadow, the anchor point, and like a bunch of different things. And you guys can look. Let me Google real quick. Leaflet icon marker, so you guys can see the different parameters and stuff for it. Oh, this is a custom icon they made with a leaf, and this is the shadow of the leaf. So if they add the icon URL, which is the icon in their static folder or their assets folder, and then they add the shadow. So both of these would be in their asset folder, and then add the anchor points and the shadow size and all that to where it perfectly lines up, and when you zoom in and out, it looks like it's growing out of the point where it should be growing. So this is a pretty cool little thing. We're not going to be using this. We're going to be using a GitHub. We're going to be getting it from a GitHub URL. And I'm going to copy and paste that URL right here. But you guys can find this bit online. Just search up how to get different colors, icons in Leaflet. And let me just... This is one way to get different colors, and it's good, but it's not doesn't look like the default Leaflet thing. This is the URL right here. So this is where you can get different leaflet colors and all that. I'm just gonna copy and paste this. This is for the green green icon. That's not the icon that I want. I'm gonna go for the blue icon. Okay. So you guys can see where to get that for yourselves. You just have to Google the same thing. Cause I doubt I'm going to remember to put it in the description. Okay, and this will create our default icon, and then we have to add that to the map where we get the latitude and the longitude click. And that is actually just, I think, 2 lines. I'm gonna find the exact syntax again. I don't remember how to do it off the top of my head. So we'll do this dot marker group. No, that's not right. Okay. This dot click markers And in it, we're just going to give it, we'll just name it right now as 1, whatever. Eventually, this is markers are going to be keyed by the SID of the client. I showed you guys earlier how the SID changes every time a client is reconnects or something like that. And this way we can use the SID to see who our local client is during the run that they're at in the app. But for right now, we can leave it as 1. Hopefully that will work. And we want to do 1 equals L dot marker. And that's how you create a new marker. But we have to pass it the where we want the marker to be, and then we have to give it the icon. So first we have to pass it where we want the icon to be. So this is going to be our ev dot lat, and then was it lat? Let me check to make sure. Yeah, lat and lng. So m dot lat for our latitude and ev dot long for our longitude, and then we have to pass it the object of the icon. So it's going to be icon default icon, and then we press dot add to the marker group. I believe that's right. I'm going to check to make sure. Yes, this should be good to go. Let's see how it works now. Go on the map, we click. Nope, error's out. Huh. Ah, it's not ev.lat, it's ev.lat long.lat. And there, wherever we click, our marker gets created, which is really good. It's cool. But it's not going to update between other clients. So let's say I'm connected to, I go on a different web page. And let me refresh. So I'm on a different web page. I click over here, markers are getting added, but when I look over here, well, there's no, they're not, the markers I added over here are not over there. The markers I added over there are not showing up over here. So each page is kind of independent. We don't have messages being passed from one client to another client, so one client can't really see where the other client is adding its markers. And you know, there's annoying ways to come around, get about this. Like anytime one person creates a person creates a marker and then you store it and then into like a database or something, and then a person refreshes the page and that updates the every time the page is refreshed the database with all the marker locations. You use that to populate a bunch of new markers, and that way you will see where the other person placed their markers too, but only when you refresh the page. That's not really the way we want to do it. We don't want people to have to constantly refresh the page over and over again. We want people to just in real time see where the markers are getting added. And that's the whole point of this, and that's what we're going to do next, is set up the socket.io to where it can show us where the markers are being added. Okay, before I do this though, I also want to do something else. Is I want to remove markers. If the marker is created and the person clicks again, I want to remove the old marker and create the new marker. So we have to see how to remove markers from marker groups. So that's what we're going to do is marker group dot remove layer and then the marker. And hopefully that will work. So whenever we click, if this dot marker group 1 equals equal, I think if we just do this, this will work, no? JavaScript check if key exists. Because in Python we just do key in the dictionary. Oh, that's not right. Alright, cool. Key in object. Nice. So if 1 in this dot marker group excuse me, give me just 1 second. If 1 in marker group, man, I haven't even, why am I blanking on the easiest things today? Print, well, console.log true. So if it does exist, it should say true. Let's test it out. And then if it does, we have the event that we need. And at that point, it didn't exist. And it exists now, so it should have said true. Nope. I don't think that's going to change anything. But whatever. Huh. So it does exist the first, it exists. Why are we not getting it? Because it's not marker group, it's click markers. Clearly. That's smart. And then when we click, we get the true. Yep, that's exactly what we wanted. And now I'm going to add back my brackets. So we get the true whenever the key exists, and then we want to delete the marker whenever we get the true. So we delete the marker by doing this dot click markers. Nope. This dot marker group dot remove layer. I believe that's what it was. Remove layer. And then this dot click markers 1 should be good. We'll find out. There we go. Anytime we click, our marker gets, the old marker gets removed, the new marker gets added, which is exactly what we want, and it's beautiful. Now we have to set up the socket.io side. So whenever somebody clicks, we need to send a on-click method to the socket, to the server with the lat long position, and then we'll store that in a list in the server, and yeah, we'll do something like that, I guess. Let's see how it goes. So one of the things we're going to want is the click events, click markers equals an empty object, and then we're going to do a on click. Where's my at socketio.on. I'm thinking real quick. Yeah, we're gonna do a on click so when we do the on connected, right, we're going to emit the connection message, but we should also emit the click markers. And when we do the socketio.on click, we should also be getting the object of the lat long being passed to it. So on click, and then def on map click. I'm going to say on click lat long. There. And then we're going to print the lat long to see if we're actually getting it. And so we have the server function ready to receive, but we're not emitting yet, so we have to emit from the map point whenever we create a new marker. So instead of doing this right here, whenever we click, we want to emit. That's not right. To emit, we want this dot socket dot emit, and we're going to emit the on click, and we're going to pass it ev dot lat long. And now whenever we click, we should get the lat long being printed on the server side. So let's go ahead and restart our server, or our backend. I'm going to restart this too, even though you don't have to. And let's refresh the page. When we click, we get that being passed, and now when we look on the server, we have the latitude and the longitude, which is perfect. Exactly what we need. So that's great. That means our communication is happening to the backend, but now what we want to do is save this latitude and longitude position in our click markers group. We're going to do click markers, and we're going to give it we're going to, as the key, what we'll use is the SID. So that way we can keep track of what users are creating what we can keep track of what users are creating what object. What users latitude, longitude, what users are which users whose markers are which users, I guess. And for that, we need to get the SID. The way we do that, I don't remember these. I don't remember adding those. What we need to do is have request from the from Flask. We have to import request, and then we could do request.sid equals lat long. And just to make sure, we should print out the request.sid to make sure we're getting different SIDs. And then I have to restart the server again. Oh Lord. And then we try it. I don't know what just happened there. Yep, we get the SID. That's great. One thing I also want to check is how to get SID from Socket.io client. I believe this should be it. Let's try it on the client side. So over here, we'll also just do a console.log with the session ID whenever we click. So, oh yeah, it's this.socket. Now when we click, we get this SID because we refreshed the page. Our SID is different, but when we look on the server side or the backend side, this is the SID that the backend has. That's not right. Here, let me make this smaller so I can see as it updates. That's very interesting. They're having different they have different IDs. Hmm. Ah, that'll be easier if that works. That'd be nice. Okay, let's try this again. It doesn't exist. I could just pass it the ID that we get, so that's no problem. I'm just curious why they're not the same though. Try that. Hmm. All right, that's fine. So we'll do it the different way. We'll keep this engine ID, the engine IO ID. Okay. And then we're gonna pass it with the event let long. So this const send list equals list with ID and ev.let long, the object. I don't know if this is going to let us do it this way, but we'll see. If not, I have created an object. Okay, so our stuff is being sent, but let me see how it looks on the server. So we're going to go ahead and comment that out, have this as lit send list, and we're going to print send list because I want to see what it is. And then once we make changes, we have to reset the server, the backend. Yep, so we have the ID right here and the lat long object right here, which is perfect because then, now that we have that going, we can create the object from there. So we'll have send list 0 as the ID, which is the engine.io.id, and then we'll store the send list 1, which will be the object for the let long. And so whenever we do that, we want to print the object that we're going to be storing this in. So which is the click markers object. All right. Now again, we have to restart it. And then go back to this, refresh, click. Let's see what's going on. And yes, now it's an object that contains the, instead of a list, which is shown by the brackets, we have this by the curly brackets. But, and now I want to connect from another client. And we should get the same thing. Yes. Good. So our server now can see the our latitude and longitude of the two different markers that are currently on the screen. But the problem is we're not seeing where one marker is here, one marker is there. We don't see two markers on the screen though because we're not returning the object. Yeah. We have to emit now from the client back to all, from the server back to all clients to let them know that, look, there's more markers added. We'll send the whole object. So to do that, we're going to go to the app, and right here, we're going to do a emit. We're going to call it update markers. And we're going to return, well, basically we're going to send it the click markers object. So that way, now each of the clients will get all the latitude and longitudes that are currently on the map. And so now, then when we go to our client, we have to go to the mounted method, and we're going to do a socketio on event, similar to how we've been doing it on the server, but now we're going to do it on the client. And we're going to do it, and this is actually similar to our connection on connect event. So this dot socket dot on, I believe I called it update markers, right? Update markers. I'm just going to copy and paste that in, and that's going to return us the markerless markers obj actually, and that'll be a pointy, excuse me, sorry. Oh, we want the, yeah. And then we're gonna print the markers object for now. But what we're actually gonna have to do is loop through this object and see if this SID exists, then create the new marker. If not, then if this SID doesn't exist, create the new marker. And if it already exists, well, there's we're gonna have to update it. Alright, so if it exists, we'll delete the old one and add the new one. So anytime, it's not the cleanest way to do it, but it's the way that you have to do it for now. Another way you could do it is check if the latitude and longitude matches the old marker's latitude and longitude. That's one way to do it. But anyways, we're going to do it this way for now. And let's see if the print is working. I don't think I have to restart the server, but I think I'm going to anyways, just to make sure. Or restart the back end. Why is it doing that? Huh. Oh, no crap. There we go. So used to Python's easy prints. Awesome. So the event is firing, and we get it right here. So that's one, right? We see that. Oh, we see both of them right here. Nice. And the latitude and longitude of both of them. But one is a string and one isn't, which is strange to me. Also, there should only be one. Okay. Another thing we're going to have to do is when the client disconnects, we're going to want to remove his marker from the group. We'll do that in a bit. But for right now, I just want one client just to see how it works with one. So when we first do it, here's our object. Now we're going to try the other one. And now we should see two SIDs instead of one. Over here, we see one. Over here, we should see two. Click. Yep, we have two. This is our local. This is the other person. Well, that's pretty cool. But now I X'd out that one. When I click, we still have two. That's not correct. Yeah, we still have two. That's just not right. So now we have to do the disconnect on disconnect. And for that is going to be an interesting little way to do it. Well, okay, before I do the disconnect, let's get the second marker updating. And so that we have when we're online, we can at least see the two markers. At least let's get that going. so it looks like we've accomplished something in the time we spent on this. All right. So whenever we have the markers object, now we have to loop through this object. And I don't know how to do that in JavaScript. How to loop through all keys in OBJ JavaScript. I think that should work. Yeah. So we'll do for const key in markers obj. And we'll console.log just the key for now, because if we have the key, we can access the value anytime. So when we print, we get all the different keys. Right now, because we don't have a way to remove the SIDs of the people that have left, we get 3. But when we restart, we'll only get 1. There we go. And when we click again, it'll always be 1 because the same key is being replaced on our server, on our backend side. Okay, so now that we have that, we're going to do if key in this dot markers group. Well, no, we don't care about that. So we're going to do this dot markers. Okay, slow down. I'm just going to copy and paste all this right here. From here, the if statement. Okay, I'm going to paste that in here. All right. So then we see if key in this dot click markers, we delete that marker based on the key, and we create it based on the key. But the big difference here will be markers obj dot lat long. No, that's not right. Key. That should be good. We'll find out. Because now we're not creating any marker on here. So if it does update, it updates. And that's good. See? Yeah, that's what I thought. What? Let's see how our object is looking. Oh, look at that. Nice. It's there. Huh. So I left the marker right here. I'm going to refresh. That gives us a new ID. I click again, and the old marker is still here, and the new one is here. So it's working. It's working great. But it doesn't look like it because we're not deleting markers when people disconnect. I'm going to restart this. We're going to refresh the page. I'm going to click, and we see 1. because right now we only have one marker. Then I'm going to do this on here. And right now we don't see anything because we only update the markers on the click event. We also want to update it right when the user connects. We want to run the same thing. But so we click here. So this is this is my marker. This is the other person's marker. That should have updated here as well. We need to broadcast to everybody. On here, where it says update markers should also be broadcasting. So we do broadcast equals true. That way, this message will go to every client, not just the local client. I gotta restart the server. I mean the backend, whatever. Both clients connected. We click, one gets made here, and the other client also has the one that just got created. I'm gonna click on Blackwell, and now there should be a marker on the other one where Blackwell is. Yep. So we have real-time marker updates now. When I click here, the marker moves. Let's have this side by side so we can actually. Why does it always do this? Okay, and this right here. Alright, so if I click here, marker's updating wherever I click. So that's exactly what we wanted to see. And it happens on both sides. Awesome. So now all we have to, one thing I want to do is make it to where the only blue one should be your localhost, and all other markers from anybody else will be red. Just so we can see very clearly the difference between our localhost and the other people's markers. And it's actually pretty easy because of the way we have everything set up. But it might seem a little weird. So we're going to do if key equals the session ID that we sent earlier. We don't even have to do that here. Do it right here. If key equals this, then we want the blue marker, which is this one. Else, we want a green marker, which we can do just by copying and pasting the same thing back into here. But because we're using the GitHub thing, we can just change this to red. And now whenever it doesn't equal us, it will turn red, ideally. It's wrong. Oh, because of scope issues. Can't be a const because I'm changing it. And that should allow us to access it. Okay, I gotta also restart the server because we don't have a way to remove markers yet. Okay, refresh, rejoin. And then, oh, did I X out of the other page? No. When we click, we get the blue marker for us. And but when we see that the blue marker is just for us though. You see over here, this is where I clicked. So let's do the side by side again. Why? Alright, cool. Let's do it side by side. So on this one, I'm going to click City of London. My blue marker is on City of London, but the marker on City of London over here is red because it's not, I didn't create the marker on this side. And then over here, I'm going to click Shadwell, and yeah, the marker's red. So we know which our local client is and who the other clients are, which is really useful for even messaging anything, really. Yeah, that's good. Now we have to do whenever an onConnect function gets fired, we also have to update the markers. So we're going to go to over here. We're going to go to our app, and we're going to onConnect. Right now we have that emit. We're also going to do another emit, and we're going to do, I could just do update markers here too, because it's the same. It really has to be the same thing. Click markers, except we're not broadcasting this time. That should be the only real difference, because we just want it to send to the actual client, whoever just connected. So let's try that. I'm going to restart the backend. Okay. We have both of our clients. Refresh, refresh. Nothing is there. I'm going to actually X out of this one for now. I click here. The object is made. And then when I go to localhost, the object should be made over there as well. Yep, right here. Perfect. That works great. Now, whenever you log on, you'll see everybody's markers that are on, but you don't see your own because you haven't clicked on the map yet. When you click, it comes up. All right, that's working great. Now, the only thing left is to do the disconnect. So whenever a person leaves, you want their markers to be removed from the map. So at socketio, the on disconnected. I believe that's the. Did I spell it wrong? No, it's disconnect. Yep. Disconnect, and then def client disconnect. And now we have our disconnection thing popping, and whenever somebody leaves, it's going to fire this before they're gone. All right, and in here we want to do emit a remove marker, and we're going to write it on the back end, but we want to emit remove marker, and we're going to send this isn't gonna work because we can't actually see who is, we don't have the ID of who is leaving. Usually we just do request.sid of the person that is leaving, but because we don't have the request.sid of the person that is leaving from over here, that becomes a problem. There is a way where we can solve this in a dumb way, and I don't mind the dumb way. So we're going to create another object up here called ID matches, ID links, actually, because we're going to link the SID to the ID that we pass it. So we're going to create an empty object right here, and whenever we whenever we send this, whenever we do the on click, because that's the only time we actually need it, we're going to do ID links request.sid. No. Yeah, okay. Request.sid equals send list 0. That way our request SID will be keyed to the ID that we sent from the server. From the client. And then on the disconnect, we're going to pass in id links request.sid, and that will give us the send list object. So that's pretty cool. Now we go to the client side, and we have to create the on function. I believe the name is remove markers. Okay. And for now, I'm just going to do console.log obj. As usual, I just want to see if it's working, if we're actually getting the call. So right now, let me restart. Okay, so we're both on, both connected. When I leave, nothing happens. So it's not working right. Key error. Okay. Because I'm not actually sending anything on the connect. Let me go back over here. We're gonna go to the app.vue file. Okay, let's search up how to pass a value to the connection event socket IO. I gotta see how to send it. We don't have to send it this, like, I could just do a if statement to see if it's actually created a marker. And that might be the easier way to go for now. So if id if request.sid in id links, that's the only time we want to do this, right? So that this will work fine. But it's not ideal, because ideally on the connect, that's when you'll update the id links. But for us, this will work, and I'm sure you guys can, based on these searches, you guys will be able to figure that one out pretty easily. I just don't want to spend a bunch of time trying to do that. But yeah, let me restart the server. A new connection, localhost 8080. 2 new connections have been made. No errors yet. When I leave, no error, so that's good. But we don't get the print because we didn't create a marker. Now, when we create a marker, and then we leave, we should have gotten the print. So let's see why we didn't. Let's see if there's an error. No error, and no print. Interesting. Remove marker. Remove marker. And create it right here. Okay. Now let's try this again. Oh, you do have an error. That was after my update. Okay. So our emit did fire. Over here we see that this should have fired. But because I don't have broadcast true, it's only going to the person who just left. Alright, let's try that now. I'm going to have to restart that. Refresh the page. No markers are there yet. Let's go ahead and type in localhost 8080. No markers. Created a marker. It's right there. When we X out, we get the disconnect and the key of the marker. So now that we get that, should be pretty easy from there to remove that marker. And we're going to do that by simply copying this line right here. OBJ. Yeah. It should just be key. Now let's see real quick. Yep, that's just going to be key. Let's restart the server. Refresh the page. Create a new page. Go to localhost 8080. Now when we click, it's there. It's there. When we leave, the marker disappears. Beautiful. But there is a problem. When I refresh, the marker is back because I'm not actually removing it from this object right here. It also has to be removed from that object. So I think you just probably del and then the thing to get it out of here. I don't remember. I think that's how it is. That's what I remember off the top of my head. Let's try it. So we broadcast to remove, but we also want to do del click markers. And we're going to remove this right here. That should remove it from the click markers group, because it gets the session ID from the client side for the key. Yep. Now let's try it again. Oh yeah, I gotta refresh it. Okay. Okay. Click here. It gets created there. We're going to leave, and it's gone from here. Now when I refresh, we don't get the new one. So it's actually, now this is exactly what we wanted. Now if I'm going to go to localhost 8080, perfect. Everything is completely reset to 0. When I click, the marker moves wherever I'm clicking. It follows on this side. Just perfect. You know, you guys can use geolocation to do something like, oh, he's traveling down here. You update your marker every time the geolocation changes, and you get something similar to like tracking, geolocation tracking. It's exactly what you're doing if you do it that way. But for us, we're just, this is a simple building block to lead to that, and that's actually very it's actually pretty easy, honestly. So you guys should have no problem doing that. Let's try with a couple more clients. The heck just happened? Okay. Okay. And you see the two different markers are on here whenever we start. And actually, let me add another marker. Third marker has been added. It's linked between all three of them. And now when I go on the fourth one should have all three of them linked as well. Right there. When I click on the fourth one, it gets added to the rest of the three. So that's pretty cool. And also, it actually doesn't, the click event doesn't fire if you're just dragging. So it worked out great. We didn't have to add the button at all. It worked out exactly how we wanted it to. It only works when you click. So I guess this is the end of this little code along. It's been a long journey, but we got good stuff done, and we have basically marker tracking, real-time marker updates. That's what we want for this tutorial, and I hope you guys build something cool using this and create your own your own apps, whatever you guys can think of. If you guys can, share my videos, give a little bit of credit, just saying like, yo, this guy taught me, or I watched this guy's videos, that would really help me out. But obviously, just do whatever you guys do to make a better future for yourselves. Yeah, that's all any of us can really do at the end of the day. So I'm just checking to make sure it's working on all of the clients perfectly, and yeah, everything's looking good. All right, so let me X out of each of these, and you guys can see how slowly people are going to be well, let me refresh this real quick. Actually, refreshed, the thing is gone, we added back, it's working fine. So yeah, you can see as we leave, people's markers disappear, leaving the last lone survivor, and now he's gone too. All right, guys, peace out.